Welcome to Beyond Referrals, the podcast exploring how trust, growth, and client relationships in financial services are evolving in the digital and AI age. I'm your host, Emily Armstrong. Let's dive in. Hello there. Welcome back to the show. This episode will not disappoint. I have my new friend, Mando Sallavanti, on for a conversation about how to grow a personal brand in an extremely compliance-restricted environment. Mondo is one of the most followed financial professionals on LinkedIn. He has over 50,000 followers and a nationwide client base. He's ranked #1 personal finance creator in the US on LinkedIn as of May 2025. And he's a top financial planning fee advisor at MassMutual. And he built all of this, the firm, the following, the reputation inside of a restricted environment from scratch. And he is just so inspiring to me and inspiring to next generation advisors. Mondo is an entrepreneur at heart. We talked about his journey from selling sneakers to getting into this business and becoming a success in wealth management. And something I found really insightful. I asked him how he started growing, really seriously in his personal brand. And it really just came down to a decision to commit and taking it seriously. Have a plan and a strategy around personal branding and not just tinkering with it or posting occasionally. We talked about the importance of story-driven content. That came up again this week. And you have to let go of the fear of being judged by your peers in order to grow a personal brand that actually grows your business. So Mondo is amazing. You should go follow him. He also has a coaching group called Followers to Fact Finders, where he trains advisors around the country around his methodology. So I'll post that link in the show notes. It's a great resource for anyone who's trying to boost their brand journey. But without further ado, here is my conversation with my new friend, Mando Sallavanti. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond Referrals. I'm very excited for this conversation that I am about to have today. My new friend, Mando Sallavanti, is here because I reached out to him and saw what he was building, and I had to understand for myself, and I wanted him to share his expertise with you all as well. Mando Sallavanti is one of the most followed financial professionals on LinkedIn with over 50,000 followers and a nationwide client base. He was ranked the #1 personal finance creator in the US on LinkedIn as of May 2025. He is number 25 at MassMutual for financial planning fees collected in 2024. And he built all of it, the following, the firm, the national reputation inside of a compliance-heavy ecosystem from scratch. Today, and he's the founder today of Freedom Path Wealth, a modern financial planning firm helping successful families simplify complexity, reduce taxes, and create lasting wealth with purpose. His clients are high-earning sales executives and entrepreneurs, typically in their 40s, earning $500K or more, managing equity comp, real estate, and closely held businesses. And as I described that client list, I imagine those are dream clients for most everybody listening. And he also runs Followers to Fact Finders, which is a coaching community where he teaches financial advisors across the country the exact frameworks, sales trainings, and brand building strategies that took him from cold calls to a multiple six-figure firm and speaking on national stages. So he's based in Scranton, Pennsylvania, with his wife, Mattia, and he's here with us today. Mondo, welcome to Beyond Referrals.
Thank you so much for having me, Emily, and I'm so excited to get in the conversation.
Me too. So before we hit record, I was just telling Mondo, and I'll tell everyone, Mondo's the first person I'm inviting blind on the podcast. So this is our first conversation, first time meeting, and it should be so fun. And so I found out about you, Mondo, from Dave Resseguy, and he was just on my podcast. So if you're listening and you haven't listened to Dave's episode, give that a listen. He's a great, great person. I learned a lot from him. But how do you and Dave know each other?
Dave, I first met, he was doing a training for the agency at MassMutual that I'm affiliated with when I was newer in business. It had to be 2022. So I'm affiliated with MassMutual, my business, the agency itself, which is called Vista Wealth Solutions. They would do like training for our Newark advisors. And he came on, he was doing training, and me and him first met there. And then over time, I was building my brand. Funny enough, we're going to be talking about brand today, but I was building my brand and he had reached out to me. And then eventually me and Dave did some one-on-one coaching together. And we've just grown a relationship. And I think we're very aligned and have just become really good friends. And he's a great mentor to me too.
I love that. Yeah, when he and I first met, he was like, he told me, he mentioned your name a few times to me. He goes, "You need to look him up. You need to connect with him." And so here you and I are today. He connected us unknowingly. So I want to hear your story, Mondo. I want to know just take me on the journey of how you got into the industry, what your practice looks like, how you built it, and then we'll go from there. Yes.
Growing up, my father is a family physician, and growing up, I'm from a small town in PA. I live in Scranton now, which is a small city, 80,000 people. I lived in a suburb called Old Forge, which is basically a 3 square mile town of all Italians that didn't stay in New York City coming over to Ellis Island back in the day. So I grew up there. My dad's a doctor. It's like heavy immigrant town. Business owners that have restaurants or pizza shops. Like our main street has pizza shops down the whole street. It's ridiculous. And everything is just like very modest, right? So when your dad's a doctor, you grow up and people think like, my God, you're the richest person I've ever heard of in existence. But we had a good childhood. Like we went on vacation once a year. I got new sneakers for school and a bat when Little League came around. Like we were not filthy rich by any means, but it was just a good childhood. So I'm like, people like my dad, I like the way I live. I want to do that for a living. Fast forward, go through their school, go through high school, college, etc. I'm in college, decide I'm not going to go into medicine. It's not what I want to do. I was playing football in school too. It wasn't for me. So my dad starts introducing me to people, and the first person I talked to was his financial advisor. The second person I talked to, I should say, was his financial advisor, Timmy. He was telling me a story, and he basically said, he's explaining like, what does it mean to be an advisor? And he said to me, look, there's 3 things we all think about before we go to sleep. Number 1, did I hurt anybody today? And he said, if you did, you could pray about it. You could talk to a friend, whatever you need to do to make your mind right. Number 2, am I healthy? Is my family healthy? If you're not, get a prescription, call your doctor, whatever you need to do to make sure you get okay. And he's like, kid, he still calls me kid to this day. He's like, kid, that's your dad. He's the second thing people think about before they go to bed. And he said the third thing, just before we go to sleep, just before we shut our eyes, can I pay my bills? Am I doing the right things with my money? Is my family going to be okay in the future with the money I'm saving and where I'm investing? And he said to me, he said, Mondo, I'm the third thing people think about before they go to sleep. Who do you want to be? And I remember hearing that. I'm like, I don't even know what a financial advisor does, but I want to be that. And actually, I want to be you. And I just met you for basically the first deep conversation we've ever had. So through college, he mentored me. Long story short, I got licensed in the business. I started producing as an intern. Also, and I promise this context will all tie together for important reasons in our conversation. Also, I was selling sneakers while I was in college my last year. It was in the middle of COVID. I got sent home. I'm bored doing that on Instagram and built a sneaker business. I was doing 100 pairs a month my last year of college.
Oh my gosh.
And while I was interning, starting to sell insurance and manage assets and do planning for people, I graduate December of 2020. And then I start in the business pretty much, a week or 2 after Thanksgiving it was. And I've been building it up since then. So all of that to say, doctor, football, selling sneakers, then getting into the business and using social media, which came from my sneakers roots. So that right there is the origin story.
Wow. I don't even know what questions to ask. It's so good. First of all, your town sounds really fun, like tight Italian, tight-knit community, pizza shops. That sounds like a vibe that I would for sure get down with. So okay, so it sounds like the sneakers business kind of like gave you that muscle of like, that was through social media, right? And so you applying that to your financial planning business. Tell me about how you had the instinct to build your business while at the same time building a brand, because a lot of people, they only like ask for referrals and do activity, right? I'm not super familiar with Mass Mutual's training. It's probably similar to what I am familiar with.
That's what it is, pretty much.
Yeah, right? Okay. So yeah, you were trained in an environment to tell you, and it's not bad, but it's like call people, ask for referrals, and just do that enough for long enough and you'll have a business. But you kind of did it this different way. So I want to hear how you had that instinct and yeah, take me there.
So back when I was starting in business, and when I did start with the sneaker business, I started doing it because my best friend, Jarrett, his wedding, I mean, we're recording July 14th today. His wedding is less than a month. I'm going to be the best man in his wedding. He was selling sneakers in college. And me and him always collected sneakers like Nikes, Jordans, etc. And I'm like, dude, are you making money doing this? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I know more than you. I want to do this. And, backhanded thing you throw at your best friend. But he's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we could all win. So me and him are selling sneakers. And my wife, Mattia, she has a business. She sells like smoothies, fruit bowls, other like healthy food, things like that. And when she was opening and starting to do it, she started documenting that journey on TikTok, and she was like, day one, opening my own smoothie shop. Day two, she gets picked up by a couple influencers who thought her content was interesting. And she's got almost 100,000 followers on TikTok. And she inspired me to like lean into social media. So me and Jared are doing sneakers. I want to start selling more sneakers. Social media is that way. She inspired me. He inspired me. Then when I was getting into this business, I listened to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk. I love Gary V's stuff. And Gary V's like, LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. I'm like, well, TikTok and LinkedIn, he was saying. And I'm like, well, can't do TikTok. So LinkedIn it is. And I basically took what I was doing in sneakers, which essentially my broad strategy was I'm going to follow accounts of my ideal clients, which I was selling sneakers to other sneaker resellers and kind of business to business model, long story short. So I'd follow
Hmm.
people, I'd comment on the post that they made, and I would make posts and they would naturally check my stuff out. So when I got in business here, I'm like, well, I'm going to start on LinkedIn. I'll make content. I'll send requests out to people in the industry I want, and I'll go out and comment on their posts, and naturally they should see my stuff. So at a very base level, like that's where the inspiration came from and kind of how things developed.
Yes. So what platforms are you allowed to use at Mass Mutual?
We can use LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter X, pretty much, to my knowledge, pretty much everything but TikTok, to my
Okay.
knowledge.
Okay. Well, no one's reaching out to you saying to stop doing what you're doing, so you're good. Were you like a unicorn, and are you a unicorn of like, do you see a lot of other advisors or peers doing what you're doing and really leaning heavily into social media and marketing and content?
So Emily, I remember my second year in business. I was in probably the darkest time of my life, and here's why. My whole life growing up, I was basically ingrained from everyone around me. I was going to be like my dad. I was going to be a doctor, and it's like that was my identity. So then when I decided not to do that, when I had that transition period I explained before, that was a dark time, but it wasn't dark because I was able to come out of it and figure things out and it was okay. But then my second year in business, I did all the things like cold call, reach out to people I know, get all the referrals. And I kind of hit this point where I'm like, my warm market is exhausted. If I make another cold call, my ears are going to start bleeding. I can't stand doing this. And my first year in business, I had brought over almost $10 million of AUM as a 22-year-old. I didn't even know what I did. I did a lot of insurance production. Like we were doing really good work for people. And I went from that where I'm like getting awards and on stages to year two, I was unhappy and unsure of what I was going to do with my life. Like I thought I was going to have to go get a job in 3 to 6 months somewhere because this just wasn't going to be my long-term trajectory. And as I was in that, that was where I'm like, I need to step outside of the way everyone is doing things. And I don't think I'm a unicorn to answer your question directly, but what I did say is I need a predictable marketing system. Like I need something that if I do X, Y will happen. And I saw LinkedIn as that thing because of Gary Vee. I hired coaches, I took courses, and I'm like, all right, I need a system behind this. And I'll be honest, when I started doing it, everyone laughed at me. People told me I was stupid. People told me I'm playing office. It's a waste of time. And, I have empathy for those people, right? Because I think they really thought those things. I don't think they were doing it just to belittle me. And to be fair, what did I say before? I hadn't seen anyone doing it. So I'm like, yes, there was advisors posting, but I hadn't seen anyone lean in. So that's how that like kind of developed there. But now I have a coaching community that I run where I'm showing advisors like, here's what I do. This is how I do it and how you can do it. And I see a lot of people following suit. I won't say I'm like the revolutionary person here because social media has existed and LinkedIn's been around for 25 years or whatever it is plus, but there's definitely more advisors getting in the game.
Well, I think you have something very remarkable I see a lot of advisor profiles. I look at them all day, every day, and I don't see a lot of people like you, like with truly a authentic voice. Like you can tell you have not outsourced your LinkedIn. I can tell it's built your business. Like there is real credibility, reputation there. And yeah, now, like, I think that's true too. When you start doing these activities and on this journey, you feel kind of silly and like you have to speak for yourself because your work does not speak for itself. So I'm glad you did that. And now you're on the other side and where you really experience the benefits of what you're doing. So I do think you are kind of a unicorn in that sense.
Thank you.
Especially someone who, because I hear a lot of excuses like, I can't do anything, I can't do marketing because of compliance. And that's just not true. I also love what you said about taking control, having a predictable system. You need to build a marketing system, and referrals are not marketing. I could literally get on a whole soapbox about that and how I see that really hurting people's businesses. Like they get 10 years in and they have this invisible problem where they've built the referral machine and it's good, but they're not getting ideal clients in the door. And then they're busy and they have a whole team servicing non-ideal clients. So anyways, I would love for you to take us under the hood a little bit about how you built this brand on LinkedIn. And if you could like maybe teach us, probably these are things that you're doing in your coaching group.
I'll share it all.
Okay, take us there.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some notes too.
Yeah. So first things first, I think like if you look up present day, so I would tell you, Emily, July of 2022 is when I very vividly remember being like, I created a plan and a strategy to actually execute. So I look at that as I was posting on LinkedIn before then, but nothing with like a plan or a strategy. So I look at that as my start of taking it serious and going pro, if you will. So we're talking 4 years ago to this month, basically. Over those 4 years, I've now grown to 51,000 followers. And if you told me like that I was going to grow to that, I wouldn't have told you were crazy necessarily, but it was never the goal. Like ever. It was never the goal. My goal was when I started, I don't know where my next client's coming from. So if I don't know where my next client's coming from, how can I start generating clients using this? And when you think about followers, right? How do I build a following of 51,000 people over the past 4 years? Well, the simple answer is one person at a time. This is the part where what I'm about to tell you, and for anyone listening, if you do this, you will win. It will only be a matter of when and how long. So what I started doing, LinkedIn lets you send out these things called connection requests. You can send them to the exact profile of the people that you want to be working with.
Mhm.
The key is, and for me personally, I don't send messages with connection requests unless it's like I have a reason to send a message that I know someone from somewhere, or like someone I know knows them or told me to reach out or whatever. But in general, I look at my profile should be dialed in on the specific ideal client profile of who I want to work with and attract, which you mentioned earlier on our conversation today, who I work with. I work with high income sales producers. Like that is my main niche of clients we work with. We also have a subset. We work with entrepreneurs, probably a quarter of our clients. But those are the two groups I help, and they have very similar problems, which is why we work with both of them. But anyways, my profile speaks to it. So if you're a high income sales producer and I send you a connection request, I don't even need a message, because if you look at my profile, you're going to be like, oh yeah, this guy's relevant to like
It does the talking for you.
Exactly. It's relevant to be in my world. So first couple steps on who are you trying to attract? And this is going to be scary for a lot of advisors, because you're going to think, oh, if I like focus on this group, then that group isn't going to work with me. I don't really work with doctors. My dad's a doctor, so I work with him. But besides like, him, I don't work with doctors. I'm okay with that, by the way. Because if you aren't willing to repel one group, you will never attract the other group. If I try to be for everyone, I end up being for no one. If I am for one group, I'm for one group. And guess what? That's going to be more than you would get going for everybody. So that's first. Second, Rip these connection requests out to that ideal client profile on LinkedIn. Let you sort by job title. That's great. They let you do about 100 a week, typically. I don't know what the exact number is, but I've felt that it's around there. Now, third is you want to be sharing content. So when they do actually look at your profile beyond how it's built out, which is great, you want more stuff. the mindset shift I want people to make with content is you don't want to share content like 3 tips for your next real estate purchase or 5 things you should do about taxes. Share content that tells stories, because with AI now, especially AI writing good content, if you train it properly, the educational stuff is just a dime a dozen and anybody can make that post. So you have to ask yourself,
Yes.
if anybody could make it, if anybody could make the post in front of me, I should not post it. Like, that's the mindset that I have. So I try to look at what are the meetings and conversations I had last week? What are the things happening in my personal life? And when I write a post, it's one story with one takeaway. If you try to do too much with one post, it becomes confusing, and a confused mind doesn't take action. So people just skip past it and they don't read it. So content, I want to tell stories, help people fill the puzzle in. Who's impacted me? What's a time I was face down in the dirt? Because everybody's had those times. And when you're vulnerable and can share that, that's another great thing. Who's impacted me? Who have I helped? What are interesting things in my life? The commenting, I hinted at this a little bit before, finding profiles that my ideal client either follows
Mhm.
or actual ideal clients that are creators that I just want to be in their comment sections, because I know other ideal clients are also going to be showing up there. So that's kind of like the machine to get things moving. And then
Mhm.
once things are moving, you look at signals, right? So I have signals like profile viewers. I have people who accepted connection requests. I have people who like my posts, comment on my posts. So I can message all of them as it makes sense to start conversations. I think the big difference, and this is where I'll put a cap on this because I'm sure we'll dive deeper on some things, but the big difference of what I do and the mindset I take and things I coach advisors on when they come to me that they weren't doing before, when they're messaging, most advisors are trained, you message to book the meeting. I believe you message to
Yes.
get interest,
Oh
because
my God, yes.
if you get interest, I can ask a question, which gives me more intel, which I can ask another question, which gives me more intel, which I can ask if they're open to a suggestion. And they're probably open to a suggestion much more when they think I understand them more. And my suggestion then is going to be to book a meeting. But all these things like play off of each other and add up. So it's like, it's never like, what's the one thing? It's like the few things that mold together.
I feel validated because pretty much everything that you had mentioned is what I teach as well, and like in that sequence. And I want to know how. Okay, so you choose a niche. You make your digital presence speak to that niche. You find the connections in that niche. You find other people that are relevant in that circle, and you publish content, story driven. I just recorded a podcast last week that's launching tomorrow, but it's with a guy who owns a advisor marketing firm. And we talked about how, like what you're saying exactly, Mondo, educational content is pretty much out, like from because AI makes it. And so you have to add your own point of view, your own stories. So then how do you, so like that's one part, right? That's kind of like the marketing and personal branding piece. How do you get your ideal clients to have meetings with you, and how also do you integrate referrals, if at all, into your strategy too?
Yeah. So with the profile build out, where where your profile should be really focused on who your ideal client is, you want to treat that like a funnel, like a sales page. Like, it should be selling you. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, like, it is selling towards my ideal client and their pain points and the solutions I bring and whole 9 yards. So that's first, because that's what's going to bring inbound. Now, I think ultimately, if you have a way that is in between content and actually paying you money to work with you, that someone could get in your world, like, they didn't book a meeting with you, but it's more than content, whether it's an email newsletter or whether it's a YouTube channel to spend time on long form content, which I do both of those things because I think they're valuable, because there's a lot of people out there that they'll watch a 15-minute YouTube video from me, but they're not quite ready to spend 45 minutes on a call with me. By the way, hint, hint, a YouTube video is giving people what it feels like to actually be on a call with you. So that's another reason that I'm doing that strategy in my marketing. Now, those bring inbound, but let's just assume people are not getting inbound, and like, where do we start on day one? Because that's a reality for me now, but early on I wasn't getting a ton of inbound. So like, where do the clients come? I'm looking at the signals that I mentioned before. So the first one being profile viewers on LinkedIn. If you don't have LinkedIn Premium, it's the best 40 or $50 a month that you'll spend, in my opinion. And the reason being with that, I can see every person who views my profile. So if I'm out commenting under ideal clients and influencers they follow, and I'm posting, I can see who's viewing my profile and say, hey, Emily, thanks for viewing my profile. You just stopping by for the content, or did you have any questions about anything? Simple thing, but it gives people the space and permission to ask you something, which gets you in a conversation, which then could lead to a meeting if you qualify and ask questions. And maybe they need your help, maybe they don't. Like I just had a conversation yesterday with a guy that I messaged that, and he said, hey man, I just really don't fall into your ideal client yet. Like I don't necessarily make the income of the people you work with. So I don't want to waste your time, but I might be there soon. So I'm going to reach out when I am. And it's like, great. So now my marketing helped me save time. He knows he's not really there yet. And I only want the right people on the bus. Like, and when he's there, great. I'll have that conversation with him. But
And he will reach out to you.
Right, right. Because another thing too, I think a lot of advisors underestimate is how intimidating it is for someone who knows they want help to actually reach out to us. Like it really is for those people. So just even giving them the opportunity to be like, hey, did you have any questions about anything? And there you go. Connection requests. As people are accepting those connection requests, if you go to the My Networks tab and you look at your connections on LinkedIn, it'll show everyone in order of who's accepted requests. So I can say, Emily, thanks so much for connecting on LinkedIn. Were you just here for the content, or did you have anything you were looking for help with on your finances? Like simple stuff like that. I can open conversations. I just want to use the signals as an excuse to chat. And sometimes it's just, Emily, thanks for connecting. Have a great week. Why? Because if you respond and you're like, thanks, Mondo, you too. Now my content's in your feed and you are in my world and I have an opportunity to build more trust. So those are some examples of what I've done with messaging.
Love it. I'm definitely, I have not quite known a good message for people who view my profile. So that's fantastic. I'm going to steal that from you. Also, you've been frozen on my screen for a little. Am I good?
No, yeah, you're good. I mean, everything looks good on my end.
I'm just rolling with it. I wish I could see the live. So, okay, let's talk about referrals too. So, what does referrals look like for you at this stage? And what does business development look like? Or are you simply just focused on the content and then the connections, like what you're saying? Or do you have other strategies outside of this core like marketing strategy for new client acquisition?
Going to be opportunities for things we need to do for clients and improve their plans and update things. But we want to make sure when we're talking to them, if they're people that we want to replicate, right? Like, hey, we really enjoy the work we're doing together. We would love to meet more people like you. Is there anyone in your life that you think we should be introduced to that should get exposed to the work we do and share more? And like, I'm obviously, paraphrasing right now, but I think it's just a matter of when you do good things for your clients, ask them who else you should know in their life. And of course, there's a right and a wrong way to do it, and better language always helps. But I think at the end of the day, if you just have the guts to tell them you're going to ask and then actually ask, and you have done good work, it's not hard to get referrals. I've also gotten a lot of unsolicited referrals from our clients because I believe we do a really good job and we really care about our clients, and everybody cares about their clients, right? But think about how you could go above and beyond and be different than what most advisors are doing, and you probably will get unsolicited referrals.
You're finally unfrozen, by the way.
Okay.
So I can see you. I was going to ask a question on that. The other thing, does this happen? So because you're so specific and your digital presence reflects who you work with, I'm sure your clients refer you unsolicited to ideal clients too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like my clients, it's not uncommon that they ask me before they make a referral too, because they know
Oh my gosh, dreams.
yeah, like it's not uncommon, like because they know I only work with a certain level of person for the most part. Like, and even like let's say they have someone, right? And like I'll give you an example. I had a client and like his sibling needed some help with their finances, and he's like, look, man, like he's really not in your demographic. He's really not like in a position to pay you, but he needs help with this one thing. Like, do you think you could help him out? And we'll do that for our clients, right? If there's a one-off thing for someone, and I think it's a value add, quite frankly, and an extension of their relationship. Now, we're not going to go do a financial plan for them or anything like that, of course, but we'll do that when it's not a fit. And it's like, hey, maybe there's a 30-minute conversation we could have that means a lot to them and actually adds a lot of value to the person that they're talking about. So a lot of times because of the social presence and the marketing online, people really know exactly who we're looking for, which is helpful.
Yeah. Okay, there's 2 questions now. One is that moment in 2022 when you were like, "Okay, I'm really building a strategy around this thing." What was the one most important thing from that decision that changed where you are now?
It was simply the commitment. I told myself, I'm going to do this for 12 months. If I look back in 12 months and I don't see a reason to continue doing this, I will reevaluate what I'm doing with my career and make a hard decision. 12 months later, I'd gotten about 15 clients from LinkedIn, if I, remember roughly off the top of my head. And I figured if I could get 15, I could get 150. Like, why
Yeah,
not? You know?
and it
So
worked.
that commitment, but I think like there's a couple things. It's commitment. It's also willingness to be open to new ideas and willingness to adapt. I could even tell you, Emily, like I paid coaches, I paid consultants, and everyone always asks me, who'd you pay? Who'd you pay? Who'd you work with? I'm like, yes, like probably 15 different people over time. So if you want me to just give you the skinny, you could talk to me. But besides the point, I worked with so many people that I was just like constantly reinventing myself. And the thing with a platform like LinkedIn and really any social media, but LinkedIn as well, it changes all the time. I mean, just in the past 6 months, LinkedIn has changed so much. What I was doing 6 months ago in my content is not necessarily what works now, and vice versa. What I'm doing now is not necessarily what worked then. And I have to constantly be trying things and experimenting. And the advisors I coach, I tell them, I'm like, you got to be like a scientist. Like you have to look at your marketing as sometimes you experiment. And guess what? You're going to have things that flop sometimes that don't get you clients or don't get views or don't get engagement. But you're only going to find the new things in the cutting edge when you are experimenting. And a challenge that's come up for me, I'm so grateful and blessed to be in the position I am. But what comes when you have a lot of views, I get people that literally copy me like word for word on stuff and like do the exact posts I do and exact
Jeez.
concepts. So it's like because of that, it's even more so I have to be like constantly evolving. So I think like willingness to adapt, willingness to learn, and the commitment are the biggest things.
What are some of those things that you're adapting through right now or
So
experiments?
I'll give you an example. Late 2023, like early 2024, long form content on LinkedIn was doing amazing. So think like going to the character limit, like 2,500 characters, 3,000 characters is the limit on LinkedIn. That stuff was doing amazing then, like written content. Then I would say late 24, like mid 24 to late 24, even early 25, video, crushing it. LinkedIn comes out with this video tab and they're like video, video, video. I had a couple videos that did 700, 800,000 views, not dollars, but views. That'd be nice. One video,
Right. Oh my
$800,000, right?
gosh, please.
But
Come
a
on,
video
LinkedIn.
yeah, seriously. So a video doing like 800,000 views, I had multiple at that level.
That's
And
wild.
now if I actually experimented because I was hearing some rumblings from people like, oh, video's back, get into video. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I took the video that got me 800,000 views literally like 2 years ago. I posted it probably a month or two ago, roughly this spring earlier. Video got like 4,000 views. So I'm like, okay, this is pre-validated content that did fly and do amazing at one point. This is a format problem, not a like content itself problem. So I think when I look at two things, the long form content, so shorter form content is by far outperforming for me right now, like content under 1,000 characters, more specifically under 800 characters, even if you could. Short form content that actually gives a payoff. So like when you write content, you want to have like the promise, then you need a gap, and then the payoff is kind of how you land the plane and close the post out and give them the takeaway. The shorter you can do all of that in, the better, but under 1,000 characters, definitely. I think that change has happened for one major reason, AI. So once people realized long form content was working, also, late 2023 was right around the time people just kind of got a clue of like, oh, I could use AI for content. People started to catch on by middle of 24, and it was like everything was just AI generated slop. There's still a lot of it, but
Yeah.
just adapting from that, shorter form content, even text only content, humorous content always works. That stuff always has worked, like when you can poke fun at something. So those are some of my thoughts and insights from what's been going
I
on
love
content-wise lately.
I love that. Do you do long form content? You said you do YouTube.
Yeah. So I would look at like my YouTube as my long form. So I used to write when I was doing long form 2023, 2024, like 2,500 characters or so. I would write posts that were like really valuable, in-depth, like financial type things, and they would do amazing. Like I had posts getting 50,000 views, 40,000 views that were like deep things. Like I mean a lot. And if I post one of them now, I think they would do awful, quite frankly. So
Yeah.
I look at LinkedIn content as top of the funnel purely for me
Mhm.
right now. I will post bottom of funnel once in a while, and when I say bottom of funnel, like try to sell people. Top of funnel is more like get them in my world. But I look at like YouTube as more middle to bottom of funnel because hey, come spend 10 minutes and watch me break down this concept. Even my newsletter a little more middle of funnel where it's like longer. My newsletter probably looks more close to what I used to write on LinkedIn
Yeah.
2023, 2024, I would say.
So a lot of listeners to this podcast and advisors I'm working with are stepping into content kind of for the first time. And either they've had a niche like in their practice that has not yet been digitized or kind of like institutionalized, but they found themselves in a niche and I'm helping them to really go down in that and become the go-to, like do what you're doing, right? Or they want to do that. And for the first time, they're breaking into a niche and they're doing content for the first time. And so I think it'd be helpful if you shared like how do you get inspiration from what to write and what types of things are you producing, because a lot of listeners are like experimenting with this for the first time, and once you get it's like a muscle too, right? Like once you get the muscle, you have more ideas and you see ideas everywhere. But I'd love to hear that from you too, for the person who's kind of just stepping into a content strategy for their business.
Emily, do you think a lot of people are scared to post content before they get into it?
Everybody is.
And why do you think they're scared? I'm curious to hear your opinion on that.
I th- I think they're scared because, well, one, they don't want to be seen as that guy or that girl that like you and I have experienced. I think they're scared to put their opinion out there if they're wrong. I think those are the big things. And then
So
they make excuses like I don't have time or this is dumb, but those are the real reasons.
right. So what I boil that down is they're afraid of being judged by their peers. And when I talk about like fear of being judged by their peers, the reason they have that fear is because they are judging all of their peers. So if you're
Yes.
listening to this and you are struggling here, stop judging the person that you read a LinkedIn post and you're like, they're stupid. What are they doing? Well, they had the guts to do it and you didn't. And their clients are probably reading their content instead of yours. So who's really winning? So that's the first thing. Now, second, tactically, because I think mindset is important. I'm a tough love type of guy, but mindset wise, or tactically, I should say, I just look at my calendar. Like, what's my last 7 days of meetings and what were the conversations I have? And just thinking through that and sitting with it. And I'm like, oh, I talked about this thing. Maybe I jot an idea down. Or, oh, this happened over the weekend. Jot that idea down. Like, one of the things for me right now that I'm doing is I've casually played golf for my entire working years since I'm 22. So it's 6 years or so. And I'm like, all right, I can't do something and be like mediocre and just like suck at it. If I'm going to play golf and take it up, like I need to get good. So right
Mhm.
now, I'm like really investing time and effort and money into getting better at golf. So I've been like mixing that into my content, and it's just something where like today, for example, I on my lunch break, I have a net in my backyard. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go swing 10, 15 times, hit balls into the net. I took a quick video on me swinging 3 times. I posted that on LinkedIn. Why'd I do it? Well, part of the reason I'm taking up golf is because I know it's going to help me meet really interesting and wealthy people. Average golfer makes a much higher income than average income, and wealthy people do it, quite frankly. So I want to do it. And honestly, I've started to really like it. So I'm just documenting that journey because now I'm playing. So you get to these country clubs, meet these people, but also when I post that, I'm also going to attract the people on LinkedIn who are golfers and they're going to see that stuff and want to build a relationship with me. And guess what? Every time I post about golf, it's funny how half the comment section are people I've never seen before. So,
Yeah.
anyways, look at your calendar, look at your free time. Nothing is too simple. Nothing is stupid, right? It's just like one story, which could be quick. Story could be 3 lines, 4 lines with one takeaway. that's the thing I think through. Look at my calendar, look at my week, one story, one takeaway.
What I'm hearing is like going back to how you have been so successful at this is because of the commitment that you made and the systems you set up. And I think if someone's listening and they want to do this, like you really do have to do that. Like, so put an hour on your calendar every Friday afternoon of like meeting look back for content ideas for the next week. It's like get the rhythms in place so that you can start doing these things and just get in the rhythm. Like you show up to make your phone calls every day, like just make this the same thing. I love that. I want to ask you too, how did you get into your niche of high earning sales professionals and business owners?
So it happened on accident. When I was starting on LinkedIn, I knew I needed to focus on a group, and I really recrafted my offer because I was meeting with a lot of younger people that didn't have assets, but they had planning needs. So I'm like, all right, I could charge a subscription fee for service. So I started like back in the day, I started doing, I'm going to charge $200 a month and do subscription fee for service planning. And ultimately, I branded myself as Gen Z's financial planner. Now, we're talking 4 years ago. I'm also Gen Z, just FYI on that. So I'm like, oh, it works.
I'm old. I'm a millennial.
I'm just on the border of Gen Z though, because I'm
Yeah, yeah,
28. So I'm right
yeah.
at the border. But anyways,
But you identify more with the Gen Z crowd.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so.
Mhm.
So I started marketing myself as Gen Z's financial planner, and a lot of the conversations I were having, like who is in their 20s that has money problems? Well, they're salespeople that are like, I just made 300 grand and I'm 24 and I didn't even know I could do this. Like, what do I do with my hands? Like that was the conversations I was having, and I felt really qualified to help them. So I started building up subscriptions, working with those people, and then I look up a year later and half my client base are sellers in tech. So then I started doubling down on that. And late 2023, I really started focusing on people in software sales and going more niche on that. Now, today, it's more so just like if you're in sales and you make a lot of money, like, yeah, we could work together. Like, that's the problems I solve for people like that. And because of that niche, again, like the problems and solutions they have. And I think for anyone listening, like, focus on the problems and solutions of your ideal clients because that is what will get them to want to work with you and believe you're competent to help them. Entrepreneurs have the similar ones to the high earning sales producers. So now that's become like a little subset of my clients. And I would tell you, Emily, if I went out 2 years, I think all my clients, or at least it'll flip flop to where probably 3/4 are sales producers, a quarter is entrepreneurs. If I go at 2 years, it's probably 75% entrepreneurs and a quarter sales producers.
So cool. So, yeah, what I mentioned earlier of helping advisors find their niche. So, I studied a ton of frameworks, both industry specific and outside industry. And because a lot of people like don't really know how to do that, right? And for you, even like you kind of came into it from experience and from realizations of what do my clients look like. And so the formula that I use for people would love your perspective on this too. Is your niche exists at the intersection of three circles. So if I were to draw like a Venn diagram for you, there'd be three circles. The middle of that is honestly where you can have the most magnetic, referral based, fun, energizing business. And the three circles are first is your passion and expertise. So that's what problems do you love solving? You know, like, do you get lit up when someone has a complicated tax position or when someone has like an inheritance? Like, think about those problems that you get excited to learn about and that you're genuinely really gifted at solving and your interests professionally. So that's number one. Number two is your relational circles and your relational connections. So, you, as the example, being a Gen Zer, like you understand Gen Z is making a lot of money. And so you have a lot of credibility and authority and empathy within that relational circle. You're connected to them. You have a lot of people you know there. So for an advisor, that could be like a previous career, or that could be like a circle that they have a foot in the door already. They understand their world at a deep personal level. And then the third one, and I would say they're all equally important, but I would almost call this one the most important, is a market need. And this is what you were just saying of like the problems. It's just so irrelevant to go to market as I do financial planning and you should meet with me because my friend told you I should, your friend told me you should. And the market need piece is so important because you tie all your services and all your offerings to them specifically in language, plain language they can understand, that's directly solving their level 1 pain points of the things that they're asking themselves at night. So that's how I think at the center of those 3 circles, passion and expertise, relational connections, and market need, is where someone, if they can position themselves there and digitize that, they can build an incredibly attractive business.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also something for advisors, and this kind of gets into sales, but it bleeds back into your marketing, right? If you have clients that there are not targets and dreams and goals that are big enough beyond what they perceive their current situation leading to, like they're not going to take action, because it doesn't matter if you charge $5 or 50,000. If that gap isn't there, like there isn't that market need, that problem that needs to be solved, that obstacle that needs to get over, that they can't do without you. Like no one's going to take action to actually talk to you, never mind move forward. So it's like, how do you speak to those problems in your marketing, on your profile, on your website, in your content, etc.?
Yeah. That's so good. So, for the followers to Fact Finders coaching group that you run, is that only for other Mass Mutual advisors, or is that for, like, who's that for?
Yeah. So basically anybody can join it. I have an outside business activity out of my financial planning business that I run the community. Whether you're with a big broker dealer, whether you're independent, like doesn't matter what firm you're with. We have advisors in there, Mass Mutual, New York Life, Guardian, Northwest Mutual. We have independent people. We have people principal, like there's Prudential. We have all different types of advisors. But basically what it is, we do live calls every month. I either interview people or I teach on stuff. We have over 80 members in the group as of today in July. And behind the scenes, there's a community where people are interacting, asking questions and sharing things and just whatever. But it's been good. We launched in August of last year. So crazy to say, but almost a year that we've been going.
Yeah, that's awesome. How has that grown? It just probably by word of mouth.
You know, I started it organically. Like most people don't even know it exists because I really don't promote it. It has been primarily word of mouth. And I started it because I do coach some advisors one-on-one, but I only have so much capacity that I want to spend on one-on-one
You
coaching.
probably get like a million people asking you
I
for,
get a
like, can I
ton.
pick your brain?
I get a ton, and it's unfortunate. Like I obviously would love to spend every hour of every day helping as many people as I could, as we all would, but I just can't, or else I would make no money and my business would crumble. So
Yeah.
I got this idea from a mentor of mine, Tom Wall. And Tom told me, he's like, he runs a community on something. And he's like, dude, you should be running one on LinkedIn and sharing social media and what people are doing here. And, you know, his idea, I took it and ran with it. And I basically am like, look, we charge $2.99 a month. It's accessible to most advisors. It's enough that it's like there's pain there that you got to gum in and do the work and implement the stuff to actually go get clients. But like when you think about $2.99 a month at $3,600 a year, most advisors probably break even on one client, and you have all of the knowledge forever that after the calls. And it's been a good way to give back because I really do enjoy coaching advisors. Of course, I'm doing it to make money, like just call a spade a spade. But at the end of the day, I enjoy it. And that's why I even did
Yeah.
create it.
And you're adding value at scale and you're helping these people and they're learning from you. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, if you want to send me after this a link, I can put that in the show notes if anyone is curious to join it. Okay, this is so great. Let's do a quick lightning round to close out the time. You down?
Let's do it.
Okay. What is some entrepreneurship advice that you don't subscribe to?
I don't subscribe to the fact that like imposter syndrome exists. And this is really controversial. I think there's definitely yes, I doubt myself at times. Yes, I think people fully doubt themselves. But like ultimately, imposter syndrome, what is it? Well, imposter syndrome at its core is I feel like I'm an imposter for the situation that I am in. Well, like for me, I boil things down and simplify them a lot whenever I have difficult thoughts, good thoughts, like everything. I just have a natural, like, I'm just going to simplify this down to the nth degree. I'm meeting with a client today who's going to be a big client of ours if we end up working together and I earn the business, and one of my larger clients. And it's like, I don't feel like an imposter on that call because I don't lie to him and tell him I know how to do X that you need done. I know how to do Y that you need done. Hey, I don't know how to do that. I'm really good at this and this, but I'm going to bring a specialist in to help with that and make sure we get it done. Like, I don't feel like an imposter because I'm not pretending to be someone who I am because I know what evidence is behind me. So anytime you feel like an imposter, it's like, let's just like look at the game tape. What's the scoreboard say? Is there evidence to support me being this person? If there is, I might have doubts, but I still can step forward and not be an imposter. If there's not evidence, well, maybe I just am an imposter.
Oh my gosh, you like got in my train of thought this morning. I was on a walk and I was thinking about imposter syndrome, and I was like, I think I'm going to be done with it. It is just stupid. Like I've outgrown that so much, and I think like to like put my spin on what you're saying. Confidence, if you have confidence, and confidence comes from who you are and what you do, you don't have imposter syndrome. And quit putting that outfit on because it's so stupid and it does nothing for you. Just be done with it. That's good. What is one tool you can't live without?
One tool I can't live without. Does my home gym power rack count?
Hell yeah, it's anything.
Like that thing is just that thing is priceless for me. But like, I'll, in the context of financial planning world, maybe I'll go that route. So I really love this cash flow management tool, Currents. I really love it. It has been such a game changer for us with our clients in just like how we do cash flow planning and the visibility we have and how proactive we're able to be with clients.
Cool. I've never heard of it. I'll have to look
Yeah,
into
it's
it.
Currence, Currents.
Okay. Okay. Cool. When you're not building your business and your brand, what does life look like for you and Mattia?
We travel a lot. Like we love to travel. We don't have any kids yet. We hope we do have kids. We want to grow a family. But we travel a lot. Like we're going to Nashville this weekend. We have a conference down there, but I'm speaking at it. But we're gonna go a little early, see the city. We've never been to Nashville, so I'm excited for that. We're gonna our anniversary next month. We're going to Lake Como. We're gonna be in Milan for a night. So we're gonna go there and see that. We're going to Cabo later this year. We'll be in Miami. Like we love to travel.
Yeah.
That's like at the center of our life.
So fun. I'm in my non-traveling era right now, so that sounds so fun.
Yeah.
The last question, who is someone else I should have on the show?
You should have. That's a great question. Do you know Hillary Gale? Hillary Meehan? You should have Hillary on your show.
Tell me more.
She's a marketer for advisors, and I've paid her for consulting in the past and worked with her a little bit. She really knows her stuff. I would say her superpower probably is email. Like I think she knows email as good as almost anyone I've talked to. But she does all different types of marketing, and I think you and Hillary would hit it off, Emily.
I would love that. I'll look her up, and yeah, if you could connect us, that'd be amazing.
I will.
Okay. Mondo, I am so grateful that you're willing to come on today with me. You shared so much value. You shared so much of your journey, and it's so fun to just follow you and see what you've built. And I think you're a fun follow because it's so authentic and your personality really comes out in who you are digitally. So thank you for being an inspiration to the listeners. I'll link your coaching program, your LinkedIn profile, website, and listeners, go and give Mondo a follow. Thank him for coming on the show. Is there anything that we did not get to in the conversation?
I think we hit most of what I wanted to. The thought that I'll leave everybody with is this. Many times when people start on social media, they do it because they want to stop reaching out to people and avoid rejection. But the reality is you're just doing outreach in a new medium. So don't think that social media is like post the perfect piece of content and it's a magic bullet. And because if it was that, we'd all have 1 million followers and be making $1 million a year. And it just isn't that simple. So like, if you want to make social media a part of your business, don't lose that like grit to do the prospecting and do the outreach. That's actually the exact thing that makes it work. It's just a new medium.
It is such good advice. I completely agree. Thanks, Mondo. This was fun.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show. If this conversation resonated with you or you learned something new, make sure you follow the podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. And do me a favor, like and subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. Comment on anything that you want to see or hear more of in the future as well. You can also stay connected by subscribing to the Wonder Weekly newsletter and connect with me, Emily, on LinkedIn at Emily Armstrong or Instagram, Emily Armstrong 2.0, for more insights on building modern client service firms. Until next time, keep on adapting, modernizing, and growing beyond referrals.